Okay, so packaging InDesign files. We have an InDesign file, obviously, here. What we're going to do is I have 3 errors in this file. You can package an InDesign file with errors, but there's really no point to doing that. The reason why you package the file is InDesign will create the file for you and package up all of the links into one common folder and all of the fonts into another common folder. And so the reason that is important is when you send a printer all of your files or your packaged InDesign file, they will have access to all these little files that are within the InDesign file to be able to print them. If there's anything missing, they won't be able to print that shoe. It'll be a big blank space, or they just will not run the job for you, and you'll miss a deadline, and all the end of the world will happen from a print standpoint. So we want to make sure those errors are done and fixed. So down here again in that pre-flight panel, I can click this menu and go pre-flight panel. And then I can see I have an error here, and it's in links error, which is pretty major. And I'm seeing that I have a missing link, and there's 3 of them actually, so that's what this little number means. And so it's on page 7, so I can see here in my column, my page, I can click on the 7, and it's jumping right to the shoe that is missing. Obviously it looks like a shoe is there, but the file is actually missing. InDesign is just showing me a preview of what that shoe once looked like, or that file once looked like. So what I need to do is actually relink this shoe file, this one and this one. So all of these are what this pre-flight panel is referring to. So to do that, again, I'm just going to go open my links panel, click on the missing pieces. Now when I can open this up, I can see that there's a nice big stop sign showing me that these are missing. So what I'm going to do is actually click on the highest level one, because this is it's showing me this high level image or thumbnail of the shoe, and it's saying that there's 3 instances of this, so it's duplicated 3 times in the file, and it's showing me that. That's why it's kind of a subcategory, if you will, of the top level one. So I can hit the top level one since we're just relinking the same file, and then hit this relink icon, and I'm going to navigate to it. It's called Sneaker 4. So if I go down here to Sneaker 4, I was calling it Sneaker 4A. So the reason why it's not finding it is because I have a different name for it now. So I must have renamed it through the process. And so again, renaming things actually kind of wrecks some of your InDesign files too. So just be kind of careful with that. If you name something right away the right way, then you won't ever have to run into that issue. But if you do run into that issue, and it's a simple naming issue, you can just relink it like we're doing. Now I'm just going to have to go to Object Layer Options again, and then switch out the colors that I wanted for the shoe that I wanted originally. Yeah, that works. And then, so now I'm good. Now I'm down here with 0 errors, no errors. So this is where we want to be. Another thing I can do, and what I should do, is save this once I fix all my errors. So I'm going to go File Save. And now to package this thing, first thing I'm going to do is go over here into the links panel, and I'm going to just kind of click down on each of these images and then look at this info here, and I'm looking at actual and effective PPI. So you can get some data on this stuff. All this stuff is coming out to be low res, so I'd have to actually click on this page, go here, open this in Photoshop, and then blow this thing up to make sure that my actual PPI here was 300 and my effective was 300 as well. I'm not going to go through all that pre-press work right now because the purpose of the demo is to export the file, but typically at the end of the process you would actually go through each of the images before your final export, before you send this thing to the printer, open up that links panel, check to see your resolution is at 300 ppi by 300 ppi, and then you would find any images that are not to that standard, and you would open them in Photoshop and then increase the size of the ones that were the troublemaker shoes, the ones that are not at high resolution. Then you just save over it, InDesign would update, and then you would move on to the next one until you were through with the file. Usually that takes, depending on like a shoe catalog like this, usually that process would take like a couple hours. You would just be going back and forth from InDesign and Photoshop and just updating your shoes, and it would take several hours to do. But to package this up now, let's say you got all that stuff done, you would go up to File and Package. Now you're going to get this dialog box here. It's going to give you some detail, 3 fonts used, so on and so forth. I have images with layer overrides, meaning I have layers turned on or off in my original Photoshop file. That's happening through my Object Layer Options menu in InDesign. I can see all the fonts that are going to be packaged up. So again, it's going to package the fonts up for me in a common folder, all of my images, etc. So just some information. You just keep moving forward and pick package. And this is just, there's print instructions you can create for the printer, so you can put contact information, company, instructions like, dear printer, please crop this, or cut this, or perfect bind it, or saddle stitch it, just anything like that. Oh, printer, I have special colors, etc. So just continue through that for this instance. This is an important menu, so we're still going through this packaging file process here. So here's where I'm going to choose where my file is going to go. So I'm going to put it in the desktop. I'm going to make sure that copy fonts is checked. That's going to put all of the fonts in the fonts folder. I'm going to make sure copy linked graphics is checked. That's going to put all of the images into a links folder for me. Update graphic links. This just means that any links in the InDesign document that are different as displayed in the InDesign document between that and the Photoshop document, they're going to be updated. So let's say I have a green shoe in InDesign that's placed, and in Photoshop I actually went in and changed it to blue, and I saved it. I jumped back into InDesign, and I never updated that file to change it from blue to or green to blue. Well, if I have this checked, it's going to update all my links. Just have it checked. It doesn't hurt. Include IDML. That piece just adds an extra file to your package folder. The IDML file is a file that people with the InDesign 2015 or below will be able to use this to open up a 2016 or above InDesign Creative Cloud file. I just include that just in case. Depending on the printer, if they have the latest or if they have an older version, it's just best to do it that way. Just keep it safe so they don't have to contact you for any follow-up and stuff like that. Finally, you can just name this thing whatever you want. It's just going to take your file name, like here, Louboutin catalog, and it's just going to add the word folder at the end for you, but you can call it whatever you want. Final folder, whatever. You can do underscores, etc. So I'm just going to do it like that and put it on my desktop and hit package. And hit OK. And wait a little bit. And once it's completed, you'll have this folder here, just named accordingly. I'm going to open it. And here you go. You have the InDesign file in one folder. You have the links for it. So all of these different shoes, the image for the cover, and all the different shoes that I have in my catalog are automatically copied over. So I didn't have to manually do all that. And then the fonts are all saved here for me too. Instructions, so whatever I would have filled out in that instructions area for the printer, like special colors, etc., would be saved in here for the printer to look at. And then the IDML file, that's for those users that don't have the latest of InDesign and so on. they could just pop this document open here and it would work just the same. In order to turn the piece in, what you would do is on a Mac, control click, hit compress. On the PC it would be command, or actually right click and then to zip the file. So you would just essentially zip the file between the two platforms, and then you could send this to me via WeTransfer. But I would like to show you that you can also, and many of you probably already know this, but you can give this to me myad.onelogin. So through myad.onelogin.com, you can log in to get to your D drive, Google Drive. Oh. Yeah. My G drive, so through Google Drive, this is part of making sure that you have a online portfolio. So if you remember, like the first day of class, we talked about the online digital portfolio and that upgrade between Google Sites that happened, that there were issues with it or something or other. So what we really, the digital portfolio now moving forward based on the curriculum and MyEd policy is the G drive, so Google Drive. I can very simply drag my zip file and drop it onto Google Drive, wait for that thing to load up. It's not going to take too long. But essentially once it's done, that's included in your digital portfolio. So I'd encourage you to have a folder on Google Drive, call it digital portfolio, and then just load up your stuff there. You can share this file with me just by simply clicking on it. Let's see, where would you go? You would hit this get shareable link icon up at the top. So once it's clicked, link sharing off, you would turn it on. Here's your link that you could share. It says anyone at Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design with the link can view. You can also go to link settings in advanced, and then you can actually change who has access to it. You can make it public on the web, anyone with the link, etc. You save it. Then with this link, you could just copy it and send it to me or send it to anybody you want, and they would have access to it, be able to view the file or download it that way too. So that's kind of a Google Drive in a nutshell, that digital portfolio piece. Your midterm projects, it'll be a requirement to turn it in through Google Drive. But this time around, we can just do WeTransfer as well, and everyone did a great job of